The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone to the Sagittarius New Moon meditation. Um, we're working towards the exact time, which will occur, as you can see on your screen, at 3:43 tomorrow morning, East Coast United States time. So we're within the building process towards that event, and also towards the wider and more important event, which is the Capricorn full moon and the festival week that precedes it, coming up during the solstice period, December 21st through the 28th. So let's just take a moment to link up with each other and with the greater group throughout the world. Visualizing ourselves standing at the center of the cross, holding our alignment at that place between the vertical and the horizontal axis. Open and receptive to the inpouring energies from the great sign Sagittarius. Radiance are we, and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the outer world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus with the light we work and turn the darkness into day. This mantra really does sum up the opportunity of this vast worldwide group of seekers and servers who are going to be celebrated during this upcoming festival week. It tells us what we have as our opportunity, the opportunity that stands before us to link the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We provide that link. It is our opportunity as part of the human kingdom to form that bridge between the subtle realms and the outer world, the more material world. And so really what we have to do, as we always say in these meetings, is to just establish those conditions within our consciousness and within our subtle vehicles whereby we can be part of that divine circulatory flow of energy where we can play our part in letting in the light and bringing it down to meet the need and to thereby dissipate, help aid in the process of dissipating the glamour, maya, and illusion, which are causing the difficulties in our planetary life. It's interesting that scientists and all informed people today, of course, recognize the problems of climate change and the need to switch to a more sustainable global economic system, one that supports life rather than one that um, destroys life. Um, the COP summit meeting that was just held in Doha, um, from the perspective of those who adhere to a more progressive mindset, um, could see from the outer perspective that it was a failure, that the resolutions attempted to be imposed on the industrial countries of the world were generally not accepted, and it seems that it was a triumph for the those who work for the global systems that seek to keep our planet enslaved and who don't really address the serious problems of climate change. But from another perspective, perhaps from a deeper perspective, there was great success in that the people who were on that more progressive mindset were able to unite, were able to bring their message to those media outlets who were willing to listen to them. The young woman who gave a really powerful address at the close of last year's summit was barred by the powers that be from attending this year's summit until there was a massive Twitter storm which opened the gates for her to attend as an activist and to work with other activists to bring forward the message that climate change is real, and that we need to address it sooner rather than later. So, in effect, this COP summit really spoke to this whole movement within our world wherein the people are increasingly showing that they have the power as we organize, as we come together in groups large or small. So all efforts on the more outer level and efforts like our own, which are more subjective, spiritual efforts, um, the fact that so many of us throughout the world are engaged in these efforts brings a real measure of hope to the fact that ultimately the material forces on our planet, their days are numbered, and the spiritual and more progressive forces are growing in strength and magnitude with each passing decade. So, although in the short run sometimes things look dire, they are dire. Conditions on our planet are very difficult, but to the extent that we can hold to this more optimistic stance, this recognition that we are growing in strength, that can help to sustain us in the difficult moments when we might not have much hope or much optimism for the future. So this is a beautiful image which to me sort of speaks to that point, speaks to the attitude of mind and heart that we should be cultivating now as we're preparing for this great spiritual opportunity during the festival week. Sometimes we like to focus on the perhaps relationship of this week to some type of initiation, planetary initiation, perhaps some kind of initiation for members of humanity who are ready for it. But really, the more perhaps important focus that we should be seeking to cultivate is how can we use this energy? How can we come together as a group, as a worldwide group, to support one another, to strengthen the hands of our fellow servers, those who don't work with the spiritual recognition of the importance of this time, we can come together and support them. And collectively, together, all the groups serving in all the different fields of endeavor can perhaps strike a collective blow to this condition of glamour, mire, and illusion on our planet, and thereby together help to free humanity from these conditions. That's really the opportunity standing before us, if we come to recognize it. So, although our efforts are primarily meditative, and we will be holding a full series of webinars, 2 a day, during this festival week. And you're all invited to join. And if you're interested, you can go to earth-servers.net and find the full schedule where you can register for these webinars so we can keep the meditative focus alive as a group. Also, using the Great Invocation, we're encouraged during this entire week to use the Great Invocation each day. This is something all of us can do. At sunrise, noon, sunset, 5 o'clock p.m. Each day, those 4 points, in no matter in what time zone we may find ourselves, if we come together subjectively in consciousness and sound the Great Invocation, preferably audibly, we can play our part in dissipating the glamour in our world, because we're told that we have no more powerful tool than the Great Invocation. And also, we're asked to use it at the exact time of the full moon. And the Lucis Trust will be organizing an exact time meditation, and we'll be cooperating with them in that effort. Here's a quote that speaks to what we can do also during this week and during these weeks when we're preparing for this opportunity. Tibetan says, in an ability to hear the voice of the Formless One above the strife of all the lower voices, comes the opportunity for the aspirant to escape the dominance of matter. This is the true magical work, my brothers. The understanding of the sounds of all beings and the ability to speak the language of the soul is the clue to the work. So as I said, this is something we can all do, something we can all undertake, no matter what's going on in our outer lives. There is, as Blavatsky always states, this underlying voice of the silence. One of the problems confronting the hierarchy at this time is the fear that's being engendered in the masses of humanity and in the disciples and aspirants of the world by the very many challenges we face as we're moving from this old order into a new and as yet unestablished order. We don't yet have the requisite forms built whereby we can feel very secure in our world. But those of us who know somewhat of the larger perspective of what is unfolding on our planet have the responsibility to cultivate this attunement, this inner attunement to this formless one, this coming one, whose energy comes before his actual reappearance. We're told that there is like a wake, like a flood tide of energy that is permeating the ethers of our planet, preceding the externalization of the hierarchy, preceding the reappearance of the world teacher. There is this flood of light that those who are attuning their ears and their hearts to this current can be sustained. And then we can come together and sense the oneness of all life forms. And at these festival week, at these full moon and new moon periods, at these solstice points, at the equinoxes, these are the points in the annual cycle when we really can work rhythmically, tuning our vehicles and becoming, as I said earlier, more part of this divine circulatory flow of energy. Sagittarius is known in the Ageless Wisdom teachings as the lesser gate, the gate that we pass through prior to the great gate of Capricorn, the gate of initiation. There are minor gates prior to the great gate, and this Sagittarian experience, we're told, is one of them. It's the time when, as we used last time, this incredible image from Rorik of the Sagittarian disciples breaking free from the boundaries that normally hold us back. It's a great sign of forward progress, of movement towards the light. And in this case, we see movement towards the center Shambhala. Really, I think that is part of the intensity of the experience that we're all going through now in this preparatory weeks leading up to the festival week period, is this intensity of perhaps the forces that are opposed to our work and our efforts. And I'm sure we've all been feeling that. But on another level, there is a great sense of momentum, and we should try and ignore the forces that are opposing, because they are, and they're real, and align ourselves with the great band of this great band of brothers that is affecting our alignment and penetrating as a group into the very boundaries of this bright center lying far beyond the center Shambhala. We can, we're told by the Tibetan, make this alignment. We can find our way into Shambhala to the extent that we unite as a group. And Sagittarius, with its strength and its arrow-like precision and its relationship with the bridge, it is the sign of building the bridge between the higher and lower mind and extending our alignment into the spiritual triad. It is through this alignment that we can together pierce through the veils that normally hold us back from such endeavors. And at moments such as this, we can perhaps find our way into Shambhala. Shambhala, we're told here in this quote, is related to fire. It's related to that which burns and destroys all barriers in human nature, all separating walls between individuals, between groups, and between nations. Are you prepared to submit yourselves to this fire? Well, we can all ask ourselves that. But hopefully, at least during this period, we can answer yes, we're willing to submit ourselves to this fire. We're willing to dedicate our lives to helping break down the barriers which are holding humanity enthralled in materialism, and doing our part to counter fire with fire, the fire of spirit, the Shambhala energy, bringing it down as a group through our vehicles, and thus playing our part. Tibetan tells us that Sagittarius is related to two things, primarily two primary qualities, and this image just depicts these qualities so beautifully. The first quality is the ability to make progress on the spiritual path, which is embodied in the keynote. I see the goal, I reach that goal, and then I see another. At this stage in evolutionary development, which on our level could be compared to, or relatively speaking, our level is compared to the period between the second and third initiation, wherein the Tibetan tells us nothing can really hold the disciple back um, from reaching his or her goal. Yes, there can be wrong turns. There still can be a taking of the left-hand path. But generally speaking, it is a time wherein there is incredible freedom, incredible speed, velocity. The disciple is called the stage of the disciple in the plains, riding upon the white horse rapidly towards the mountaintop in the distance. So it is a time of tremendous progress. And so we as seekers living during this month, during this time, can take advantage of this energy to do what we can in our individual lives to free ourselves from those glamours which are seeking to hold us back from a more fuller participation in this upcoming festival week. We have to deal drastically with our astral body, deal drastically with those issues that seek to hold us enslaved, and as the Sagittarian archer, fix our gaze upon the goal, which is to free ourselves and our planet from the thraldom of glamour, Maya, and illusion. And the second key quality and strength of Sagittarius is the ability to build the Antakarana bridge, the rainbow bridge. The Antakarana is a Sanskrit term meaning inner bridge. And in the teachings, it is described as a rainbow bridge. It is, we all can find ourselves on this bridge. We are part and parcel of this bridge. Each of us, no matter how new we might be to spiritual meditation, it's safe to assume, perhaps, that each one of us has created one thin strand of light that serves to connect us with the higher realms, with the plane of the intuition. And to the extent that we have done that, no matter how feebly, we can form part of this great planetary Antakarana. We each contribute to it each time we meditate, each time we think truth in our environment. And it is decidedly through the construction of this Antakarana bridge that we can know truth, that we can free ourselves in our individual lives from those conditions which serve to blind us from the light, which serve to hinder our ability to make the right decisions in our lives, that will free us to contribute and to be of greater service in this time. As we said last time, in the labor of Hercules for Sagittarius, the guidance that the teacher gave was the flame that gleams beyond the mind reveals direction clear. No true understanding can come without the intuition. The intuition is really a blending of the higher and lower minds through the Antakarana bridge, wherein we can know truth directly at its source. That's the key note of this sign: direction. This ability to establish the Antakarana bridge gives direction to our lives. And as we work together as a group, we can help humanity as a whole to find that direction that it sorely needs in order to free ourselves from the imprisoning conditions which still hold true on our planetary life. And as St. John the Baptist depicted here, who is, the Tibetan tells us, the symbol of the new group of world servers, we are standing as the collective St. John the Baptist. Perhaps we can relate to that, standing in the desert, trying to alert a seemingly deaf humanity to what's really going on, to what's really unfolding in our planetary life. That was St. John the Baptist's mission. He did lose his life, gave his life literally for that. And so we too have to be willing to make sacrifices in our own lives, and perhaps even give our lives. As we look around, many of the world servers in our world today, they literally are giving their lives to the cause, whatever their particular cause might be. And I guess we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to sacrifice in our daily lives, particularly at times such as this? What is it, the Tibetan always asks us, what is it that we can sacrifice to make ourselves more available? So I'd like to end with just a couple quotes, because the Tibetan says it more beautifully than I used this quote recently, so I'm sorry for repeating it, but it says so clearly and succinctly the goal. The objective before the hierarchy at this time is to break and dissipate the world glamour. This has to happen on a world scale, just as it happens in the life of every disciple. Just as a man shifts his focus of consciousness onto the mental plane and learns to smash the glamour which has held him on the astral plane, so the problem before the hierarchy today is to bring about a similar happening in the life of humanity as a whole. For humanity is at the crossroads, and its consciousness is being rapidly focused on the mental plane. A death blow must be struck at the world illusion, for it holds the sons of men in thrall. Then he says, there are many and different kinds of glamour, and disciples are frequently surprised when they learn what is regarded as glamour by the masters. I will enumerate a few of the more general glamours for you. The glamour of destiny. This is the glamour which indicates to the one who controls, whom it controls, that he has important work to do, and that he must speak and work as destined. This feeds a pride which has no foundation in fact. He puts that as number one. The glamour of aspiration. Those thus conditioned are completely satisfied and preoccupied with their aspiration towards the light, and rest back upon the fact that they are aspirants. Such people need to move onward onto the path of discipleship. The glamour of self-assurance, or of what might be called the astral principles of the disciple. This is the belief that the disciple regards that his point of view is entirely right. This feeds pride and tends to make the disciple believe himself to be an authority and infallible. The glamour of duty. This emphasizes the non-essential. The glamour of environing conditions, thus giving a lot of excuses for why we can't do what we might supposed to do. The glamour of the mind and its efficiency and its capacity to deal with any and every problem. This leads to isolation and loneliness. The glamour of devotion. Number 8, the glamour of desire. And number 9, the glamour of personal ambition. So these are 9 of the glamours that the Tibetan says are the primary glamours affecting aspirants and disciples. And I'm sure we can all find ourselves in some of these, many of these, or perhaps all of these. So that, as the Tibetan said, it is interesting to see what the masters of the wisdom view as the greatest glamours affecting the discipleship group. So now I wanted to close with a beautiful passage. Because Sagittarius is ruled by the earth, and as we know, the native peoples of the United States, the first people of the United States, as a group respected the natural world and revered it, in fact. And this was a quote from Chief Seattle when he was selling some land to the white man. There's no quiet place in the white man's cities, no place to hear the unfurling of leaves in spring or the rustle of insects' wings. But perhaps it is because I'm a savage and do not understand. The clatter only seems to insult the ears. And what is there to life if a man cannot hear the lonely cry of the whippoorwill, or the arguments of the frogs around a pond at night? I'm a red man and do not understand. The Indian prefers the soft sound of the wind darting over the face of a pond, and the smell of the wind itself, cleansed by a midday rain, or scented with the pinyon pine. The air is precious to the red man, for all things share the same breath, the beast, the tree, the man. They all share the same breath. The white man does not seem to notice the air he breathes. Like a man dying for many days, he is numb to the stench. And if we sell you our land, you must keep it apart and sacred, as a place where even the white man can go to take the wind that is sweetened by the meadow's flowers. So this was written several years ago, and we can wonder if we have heeded Chief Seattle's message, if we have kept our land sacred, kept our planet sacred, if we have stopped in the midst of our busy lives to even notice our planet and its beauty. So can we now come together in our meditation, which is entitled Making the Planet Sacred? Let us stand in spiritual being, open energetically to the inflowing energies available. Sounding the Om silently, visualizing a beam of light pouring into our world. Connecting us all as brothers. I seek the way. I yearn to know. Visions I see and fleeting, deep impressions. Behind the portal, on the other side, lies that which I call home. For the circle has been well nigh trod, and the end approaches the beginning. I seek the way, all ways my feet have trod. The way of fire calls me with fierce appeal. Naught in me seeks the way of peace, naught in me yearns for earth. Let the fire rage, the flames devour, let all the dross be burnt, and let me enter through that gate and tread the way of fire. Connect with our group center. And merging this group with all the other groups throughout the world, standing as part of humanity. We build the Antakarana bridge, through the power of invocation. We project this line of lighted energy into the spiritual hierarchy, taking our stand on the periphery of that great ashram, with the world teacher at the center. And we extend the alignment to that great center lying far beyond Shambhala, and opening ourselves to the inpouring energies from the heart of the sun and the great sign Sagittarius. Hold the mind open and sensitive to impression. Bring the energy down to the group heart, focused within the new group of world servers and the world teacher. Focused as a group, we ponder on the keynote. Discover the members of the new group of world servers and strengthen their hands. Together we bring the energy from Shambhala into the group, strengthening all servers everywhere. Visualize an outpouring of the energy of love throughout all planes and states of planetary consciousness. See the fogs and mists of glamour and illusion being dissipated by the outpouring love, establishing freedom, equality, and wholeness on earth. Recenter the consciousness within the periphery of the great ashram and dedicate yourself and your group to the service of the plan. In the center of all love, I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Visualize a great ball of light descending into the center of the head and ponder for a few minutes the work to be done in your daily life. Visualize a triangle between the head, heart, and ajna center, holding our focus in the ajna center. We distribute the energies through the ajna center into the planetary etheric body composed of a network of triangles. Distributing the energies through the 5 planetary inlets: New York, London, Geneva, Darjeeling, Tokyo. And sounding that great word of power, the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into human minds. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into human hearts. May the coming one return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide all little human wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Thank you. And I invite you tomorrow to attend a webinar, an interview by the 2012 initiative with Dorothy Maver, a longtime co-worker, student of the teachings, and activist for peace, justice, and education. Please join us. That will be at 2 p.m. And the link for that is on the earth-servers.net website. So hope to see you then. Bye-bye.